Here we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What's going on, sartorialist? Welcome back to the Style. If you're new here, my name is Barry Ramirez. Welcome to the channel, and thank you sincerely for watching. Today, I am going to stake my position in the great debate. The question before us is a simple one. What sport coat should you start with when you are launching off on your menswear journey? If you speak to most style enthusiasts and stylists, they would likely recommend that you start with a navy single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels in a mid-weight fabric like hopsack. And while I don't think that this is terrible or incorrect advice, I'm going to take a somewhat controversial position, which is that I believe that you should start with a navy double-breasted peak lapel sport coat in a mid-weight fabric like hopsack, such as the one that I'm wearing here. So without saying too much more, let's crack into it. Let's begin with a concession. I believe that those who recommend that you should begin with a navy, solid, single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels and a midweight fabric like hopsack are mostly correct. My only real point of disagreement with them is in the construction of the jacket. As I said in the introduction, I believe that you should begin with a navy double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels in a midweight fabric like hopsack. And I'm going to try to defend this on three grounds. First, the color, second, the construction, and third, the fabric. So why begin with navy? Well, navy is a neutral color, which is to say that it's extraordinarily versatile, specifically because it can be worn with nearly any other color. Now, some might counter that that is true of other colors as well, such as brown and gray. And I can't disagree with that. That's actually true. Brown and gray will go with just about any other color on the spectrum. But the reason why I believe that you should start with navy, other than that it is extraordinarily versatile, is that it is the most common color you're going to find for people who dress up. If you look at most people in a professional environment, if you look at most people on TV, most people who are involved in politics, most often they are wearing navy. So when you're first starting off on your menswear journey, blending in just a bit is going to help you so that your clothes don't feel as costumey as they otherwise might. Also, I believe that the color should be solid as opposed to patterned. Or if you're going to get a sport coat with patterns, they should be small. So you could probably get a navy double-breasted sport coat with like a small herringbone pattern or even a very small like houndstooth check. And I think that that would work fine. But when you are first starting off on your menswear journey, you don't want to get a very, very bold jacket with massive patterns. Again, you are trying to acquire a garment that is going to be versatile. And the degree to which the pattern is bold is going to limit what you can wear your jacket with. And again, you just want to get as much use out of the jacket as possible. So here again, I would recommend navy, solid, or if you're going to do a pattern, make it a small pattern. Now this brings me to my next point, which concerns the construction of the jacket, and this is likely to be the most contentious position I take in this video. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot to say in the comments, which of course I completely welcome. But I believe that the sport coat should be double-breasted with peak lapels for part of the reason that I just mentioned why I believe that it should be navy and solid. Having a navy solid sport coat allows you to blend in. Again, most people who wear sport coats at all, particularly in a professional setting, most of them will be wearing navy sport coats. So what wearing a navy sport coat will allow you to do is blend in. But by having peak lapels, it will also allow you to stand out. So you get to really walk kind of that narrow line between fitting in and standing out. The other point would be just what it does for you in terms of the image that it presents to the world. It's my opinion that a double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels is the most masculine sport coat that a man can wear. And that is specifically because of the lapels. So because they are larger and broader, what they do is they emphasize the breadth of a man's shoulders, and they present to the world the image or the illusion of the image of a man having a strong archetypal figure, which is to say that they have broad shoulders and a slim waist, right? Have that classic V-shaped taper. So by doing that, again, wearing that jacket, you're going to come off as more powerful and more masculine. It's going to be a bit more bold. So it will allow you, once again, to kind of walk that fine line between fitting in and standing out. Now, the next point likely isn't all that contentious, which is the fabric should be mid-weight, like hopsack. Now, the reason that you want to do this is for the same reason that you want the jacket to be navy and solid or with a small pattern. And that is because you want the jacket to be versatile. If you're just launching off on your menswear journey, that might mean that you only have one jacket. So you want to get as much use out of it as you can. So for midweight fabric, what that means for you in practice is that you are going to be able to wear it in most weather, likely with the exception of the deep summer and deep winter, depending of course on where you live. I live in sunny fucking California, so I can wear this navy double-breasted hopsack sport coat probably 9 to 10 months out of the year just fine. Another point I'd like to make, and I should have brought this up when I was talking about the construction of the jacket, but it's that double-breasted peak lapel sport coats allow for a greater element of playfulness in your expression. Let me explain what I mean by that by referencing what it is that I'm wearing here today. So I have on a navy solid double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels, and underneath that I am wearing a rugby polo that has navy and green stripes and a white collar. I could just as easily wear this rugby polo with a navy single-breasted sport coat. And there would be a degree of playfulness because, at least to most people, a single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels is still going to be perceived as being formal. And, of course, a rugby polo is going to be perceived as sportswear. So there's a bit of playfulness with the genres. But the distance between those is not going to be as great as when I am wearing a double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels. And this is because of the associations with the construction. Double-breasted peak lapel jackets are more associated with formal attire, literal formal attire, like tuxedos, such that you would wear to a wedding or to a fancy dinner party. And because of that association, there's going to be more playfulness because of the distance between the kinds of wear or the genres of wear. The same thing could be said if I were wearing a graphic t-shirt, right? The distance between a graphic t-shirt and a double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels is going to be greater than if I wore a graphic t-shirt with a single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels. Now, I want to address two counter arguments before I wrap this video up. Some have argued that you shouldn't buy a double-breasted peak lapel sport coat when you're first starting off on your menswear journey, because it is too bold and it's going to increase your feelings of wearing a costume, that costumey specter of style. Now, while this argument superficially seems quite strong, when I distill it through my personal experience, I don't believe that it's actually strong at all. So when I first started on my menswear journey, on the advice of menswear enthusiasts worldwide, I purchased a navy single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels, and roughly around the same time, I purchased a double-breasted peak lapel suit, both from Spier Mackay. Now, I also wore the double-breasted jacket as a separate. So I've kind of unintentionally had the experience of comparing these very early on in my menswear journey. And to be honest with you, the distance in terms of my feelings of being awkward or wearing a costume was not significantly greater for one or the other. I felt equally awkward wearing both of them and felt like I was wearing a costume when I wore both of them, simply because I just didn't have enough experience with wearing that particular piece, a sport coat. And I think that this is going to be true no matter what piece you start with, whether you start with a single-breasted jacket or a double-breasted jacket. Initially on your menswear journey, you're going to have that kind of costumey specter. You're going to feel like you're wearing a costume until you get to the point that you have worn the clothing enough that it feels like it's yours. It's part of your being, so to speak. The second counter argument is considerably weaker. I have heard people pose the question in a rhetorical way: what happens if somebody purchases a double-breasted sport coat with peak lapels and they don't actually like it because of the construction? Well, you can just as easily turn that argument on its head and ask the question, well, what if somebody purchases a single-breasted sport coat with notch lapels and it turns out that they don't like it, right? You don't know from the outset what it is that you are going to like, and there's no way to predict that. The only way that you find that out is through experimenting with those pieces and determining from there. So there you have it, Sartorius. That is me staking my position in the great debate. What sport coat should a man begin with when they start off on their menswear journey? Just so you know, my channel was recently monetized, which is great. It means that I can start making money off of the channel. And I want to try as much as possible to take that money and invest it back into the channel. I want to use that money to purchase new equipment so I can increase as much as possible the quality of production. So there is now an option below the video to actually donate to this channel if you enjoy this content and you'd like to see me continue grow and succeed. And you can actually donate using the super thanks option down below. Again, I would greatly appreciate if you do that. I want to try to make this channel as best as quality as possible for all of you who continue to watch and subscribe to my channel. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this content, hit that like button, smash subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be informed when I drop more videos on the Hulsey style very soon. Till next time, guys.